Nate Wiles. I could sit here and give you the entire history and autobiography on Nate and his music and what I think of him as an artist and all of his personal life. And no. I'm not even going down that line. I never really go down that line anyway when it comes to people. I don't try to get too personal. This is strictly about the music. But with Nate, I feel like these two things kind of intertwine because a lot of what Nate talks about in his music seems to be what he lives, and that's something, as simple as that may seem, that's something a lot of artists don't do. It's either you speak and live your truth, or you just put on a persona and live behind this bravado for the sake of the music and for the sake of pleasing the listeners. Now, with Nate, this entire conversation comes on the back end of Nate announcing his new project titled MadMan, or for the Bajan and Barbadian listeners, MadMan. There's no release date as of yet. It still seems to be in the work. If you're looking and following his Instagram at Nate Wells, still seems to be doing a lot of recording, a lot of mixing and mastering, still seems to be in the work. So who knows? I would like to hear the project coming down to the end this year, but realistically, I believe we're gonna get it at some point early next year. But before we get into my expectations for MadMan, the album, I want to quickly discuss the songs he has out at the moment. Now, Nate doesn't seem to have a ton of music available on YouTube. However, Nate has been doing music for a very long time. I'm not sure if this documentary I'm seeing on YouTube is actually about him. I've never actually watched it up until this point. I will. But it does seem to be him in the images with much shorter locks. But I could be wrong, but I think that's him. And that was about 7 to 8 years ago. But if it isn't, let's move on to the more recent stuff. For example, Real Life, released just over a year ago on his YouTube page. Again, Nate Wells. And Real Life is, of course, the track is literally what the title is about, real life, and it's a very good song. I remember the first time I spoke about this track last year, I wasn't like overly impressed, but I liked it. I definitely liked it. I felt like he could have done more with it, and we spoke about that, I believe, on Instagram at the time, but it was a good track. Inner Peace, him and Shay, for those of you who may not be familiar, I've spoken about Shay in the past as well. He's a producer. He's also an artist. You can find him at Shay or Shay's Music, 2 A's and a Z. And Inner Peace is another one where he seems to title these tracks literally about what the track's title is, what the track is going to be about. It's not like somebody's going to title it, I don't know, fucking Kit Kat bar, and the entire track is about Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? And that sounds funny, but people do that. Inner Peace, another really good track. One of my personal favorites, Come Alive, again with Shay. Come Alive, for me, Nate, that his best verse is on this song. His best verse that I've heard is on this song. One of the standout lyrics for me was, why is it everything we love either sends you to God or makes Jesus mad? And my goodness, if that lyric alone isn't enough to at least pique your interest into who this man is, I don't know what else I can tell you. But seriously, I know it sounds like a very simple line, and it's not like the first time something like that has been said, but that alone, for that to cross your mind, it shows that you got to be thinking, which is something a lot of artists don't do. They don't think, they just write, and again, that's fine, but if you're not saying a whole lot, then what's the point in writing it, Of course, this lyric, you have to put it into context and hear the bigger picture of what he was saying in the verse. But I'm just singling that out to show you a line like that already tops so much of what we hear on a daily basis. Nate Wells, for me, is a very introspective artist. For those of you who may not know what the word introspective or what introspection is, it's the examination or observation of one's own mental and emotional processes. And I think that that's the perfect word to describe him. Nate speaks so much on his experiences about what he's going through, whether it's clear cut or vague or, you know what I mean? But somehow, some way, it's always about what has happened to him in the past, what he thinks is going to happen to him in the future, what he's going through now, the women he's around, the friends he has, the type of music. Like, it's always about him and looking at himself. you know, and I really appreciate that because you don't have to do that as an artist, but it's really good when an artist does do that because it shows that you're thinking, it shows that you're holding yourself accountable for a lot of things. Because for you to sit there and talk about yourself track after track after track, you have to be honest with yourself, unless you're gonna do like, I don't know, a lot of these artists over here who are just gonna fake a persona and hide behind a bravado simply for pleasing people. But I don't get that vibe from Nate. So yeah, he also has had a feature. Well, it's not really a feature, but he was on Bust the Artist. Bust the Artist is a local event. I think it happens every year. It hasn't happened these last couple of years, as far as I know, due to the COVID, but the pandemic and stuff. But yeah, usually some really good artists end up on Bust the Artist, such as Tef Hinkson, Nate Wells, who we're speaking about right now, Rizzy Vito. Some people may not like him, some people do. I personally like him. You know, a very good handful of lyrical artists have been on Bust the Artist, which I really appreciate. I think that should happen more often, that show and that platform. Yeah, so if we were to transition now onto the upcoming project, what are my expectations of it? I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's gonna be one of the best projects going into next year or whenever it's released. I think it's gonna be one of the best things, and I'm gonna try my best to do my part in promoting it because I have high expectations for this project. I hold Nate and his music and him as an artist to a high standard because I know what he brings to the table, and anything less for me would be a disappointment. You know, his penmanship is unmatched. Honestly, to me, one of the best artists in Barbados and the wider Caribbean is Tef Hinkson. I've never actually met Tef in person, but we have spoken quite a lot on social media. I've listened to a lot of his music. I've even reviewed his last album titled Get Up Good. I thought it was one of the best things I've ever heard. And he also featured on that as well, Nate Wells, on a track called M Money. Again, another fantastic verse by Nate. Like, there's nothing that he's ever come out with, as far as I've heard, that was mediocre. I think the closest thing that I could say was mediocre from Nate was maybe Real Life, but even Real Life, you try to contextualize that as a song, I think it was just a placeholder, you know, and in that sense it was really good. What else? Middle Class Menace. Middle Class Menace is a very deep song. You need to listen to that one. Very, very deep song. Again, as you can see, there's a following theme here. It's always about who he is, what he's dealing with, what goes through his mind. It's not just a bunch of random bullshit, you know. It's to the point. It's going to make you think, make you question a lot of this stuff. And if you as an artist is listening to Nate, it should also make you think, I really need to step my penmanship up. You know, that's just me. That's just me. Me as an artist myself, I think when I'm writing, I sometimes think about other artists who I look up to and say, okay, I wonder what, if I wrote this, I wonder what these other guys would think of me. And I don't mean like I'm over here worried about what they think, but it's more so I would like to think that the guys I hold to a high standard also hold me to a high standard, and I don't want to disappoint them nor my fans. Understand? So yeah, in terms of the project, the MadMan project, my expectation for that in terms of a rating, all of my ratings are usually out of 10. I believe this is going to be an 8.5 to a 9. Yeah, I think it's going to be an 8.5 to a 9. I'm not just gassing it up. Again, if you listen to Nate and you are a fan of lyrics and very witty punchlines, not corny punchlines, witty punchlines, stuff that's going to make you think, I think Nate is an artist for you. 100%. 100%. So yeah, I think that's about it. I would do a deeper dive into Nate's music if it's necessary, but this was just a very unscripted, off the top of my head, discussion about Nate and his music and the upcoming project. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, check out my Instagram at Robbie Finesse. You can also check out Nate Wells at Nate Wells. This wasn't requested by Nate or anything. This was just what I wanted to talk about. So thanks for listening, and until next time. Finesse.